What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. Today I want to talk to you about Polestar, more specifically what the data behind the scenes is all telling us. Is it bullish, bearish, whatever it might be? I'm going to go over all that fun stuff. In addition to that, I did do a video roughly about 2 weeks ago talking about how a clock is hypothetically restarting and what we need to, as far as investors, really watch for when we do break below that $5 mark. So I'm going to be talking about that as well. Before I get into any of that, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. With that, let's get right to it. Live ticker is going at the very bottom of the screen, almost down 5%, 622,000 as far as volume, 69,000 shares being purchased by institutions on the secondary market. So I've really watched what is happening on the secondary market and also the dark pool, and you can clearly tell big money is starting to take a step back with Polestar. So this is all the dark pool transactions, as you can see, and unfortunately there is none today or even yesterday. The last was on the 17th. So a couple on that regard, and before that was the 12th. So clearly a lot of big money isn't necessarily buying Polestar as much as I'm sure a lot of retail investors would like. Even based on the latest round of 13F, these are still fairly small fish, but a lot of institutions just don't clearly see Polestar in a very good light. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm always a very big fan of sentiment, and when the sentiment is negative, unfortunately that isn't always the best thing. And like I said, I did do a video on this exact same topic on how hypothetically there might be a huge sell-off happening. This came out on October the 3rd, and what I meant by that is anytime a stock does go below $5 is unfortunately considered a penny stock. So technically we are now below $5, as you can tell based on, like I said, the tickers. But when it comes to that though, it's been roughly about 4 days, give or take. So it does look like on the 14th is when we officially closed below $5. So this is where I'm talking about the clock officially starts. 10 consecutive days below $5, this is where a lot of institutions hypothetically might be forced to sell Polestar. And clearly, like I said, institutions aren't necessarily getting into Polestar, so it's not going to be as damaging as everything. But I just want to quickly show something to you. I'm going to go over to Interactive Brokers. I do have a link to them in the description below, and also I'll put it in the comments if you do like, for instance, analyst upgrades or whatever it is. This does have a lot of good, fun information, especially more so coming from an investor standpoint. So like I said, it has ratings, sentiment, and ownership and so forth. But getting right to it though. So as far as strategic entities, there's 356.06 million in total shares, but majority of the strategic entities is fairly big insiders. Then there is institutions with 24.38 million. So when it comes down to it being classified as a penny stock, that just basically means that institutions cannot buy Polestar, for instance, on margin, and also hold Polestar in certain accounts. So of this 24, there might be a couple million that might have to sell out tentatively if we do and are considered that penny stock for 10 consecutive days. So this is where I'm getting at, where the clock has officially started, because like I said, it's been roughly about 4 days that we are now below $5. Of course, if we do close above that $5 mark, it does reset. So let me know your thoughts on that. Again, it's not a reason to sell Polestar by any means, but definitely something for us as investors to really watch for. But like I've said in the past, Polestar is a long-term investment. That's how you need to see that, in my own 2 cents. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day. So like I said, institutions aren't necessarily buying Polestar as much as I'm sure a lot of us would like, even looking on a comparison basis. So I do have Polestar, Lucid, Tesla, and Rivian. So a pretty good comparison among the big EVs, but even comparing them on a 6-month basis, it does look like Polestar is down roughly about 64%, whereas Lucid is down 42%, Tesla down 36%, and Rivian, oddly enough, is the best contender of them all, only down 21%. So clearly Polestar is really suffering, more so coming from a investor stance as well. And ever since it got rolled out from GGPI, it looks like it just got and lost favorability among investors, both institutions and retail. So you definitely need good sentiment, and I'm always a very big advocate of that. Like I've always said, you definitely need to be sought out in a positive light, or else the underlying stock is just not going to flourish. So let me know your thoughts on that. Clearly a lot of hiccups, more so from an operational standpoint as well. Polestar 3 did not clearly get rolled out as positive as they would have liked, I'm sure. Definitely the price point is a little bit higher, and the tech, in my opinion, opinion, is a good step up from the Polestar 2, but by no means in comparison to even Rivian or Lucid, or even Tesla, for instance. It's just the tech is just not there. So that's definitely one thing that is plaguing Polestar. I do want to give you a good update on what is happening when it comes down to shorts and short interest, because unfortunately that's been one thing that's been really plaguing the whole EV sector for a while. Currently there is $42.72 million worth of shorts out there, so definitely a pretty substantial amount if you ask me. Currently 8.82 million shares is being shorted. 8.07% is the short interest, and as of right now they're increasing 13,000 shares, which isn't too much in the grand scheme of things. Cost to borrow though is 49.51. So despite us having a little bit more of a short interest with only, like I said, 807, the cost to borrow is relatively high. So definitely it's an interesting grouping going on, but by no means I don't think a short squeeze is ever going to happen. That's my own 2 cents clearly on that. It's just not there right now. Utilization is currently 97.19 as well, so definitely things that you need to factor in. But like I said, when it comes down to options activity or even technically shorts, everything is just showing it's not being that favorable. And based on the latest options from today, there's only been one fairly large order, and it was $540,000 worth of a premium, and it was positive, so that's a very good sign. And looking at the put/call ratio, you can tell it's starting to go up, so a lot more people are buying puts on Polestar. So definitely a little bit more interesting components going on here. A lot of other EVs, more so on the technicals behind the scenes, are all looking and starting to look very bullish, at least some signs of it, more specifically even the options. But when it comes down to Polestar, there is, and it does look like there's a lot of negatives out there, and clearly, like I even said, looking on a comparison basis, things aren't necessarily looking as positive. Keep in mind, in this channel, I like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just for transparency purposes, and especially I have said in previous videos, I personally own Polestar. So as much as I'm bringing up a lot of negatives, or what it seems like negatives, I just like to list the facts on what I see. So you can definitely maybe disagree with some aspects or don't find any relevance in what institutions do or whatever it might be. That's definitely, this is why you guys do your own due diligence. I'm just listing facts. I still do see a lot of good upside coming with Polestar. It's just a little bit more of a longer term investment, but still, this is why I did get in, which it might not necessarily be the bottom, because like I said, if we do stay below that $5 mark for 10 consecutive days, then most likely we're going to have a little bit more additional selling pressures. That's something you need to factor in. Stochastic though is very oversold, so generally the stock and the technicals might be overdue for a nice value rally, so that's something you need to factor in. Number of retail investors are starting to pick back up, so that's definitely a very good sign. You can tell that based on the momentum indicator and on the actual chart, well below all the moving averages that I do have, which is the 50, 100, and 200. So I think in general it's just been very suppressed for a very long time, and I think it's just more so with the operations and just how it's being sought out. Keep in mind, they do have to have a very, very epic Q4. If not, if they do not hit their targets for deliveries, especially considering they did reiterate that, then most likely they're going to get hit as far as on the price point as well, even further than what has already been done. So definitely a lot of interesting things is going to be happening. I'm also going to be live streaming Polestar's earnings, so definitely subscribe. And like I said, hopefully this isn't too much FUD for you. I just like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I think in general, once they do, and hopefully they do hit their targets, or more specifically their Q3 earnings, if they do say a lot of positive things coming from that, I anticipate a little bit more analysts giving a lot of ratings on Polestar, and also more institutions purchasing. That's my own interpretation on how I see things, but let me know your thoughts on Polestar in the comments below, and if you've been buying, selling, holding, whatever it might be, let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. If you do like my channel, want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Polestar.